The severe weather risk ramps up for the evening. OKC is only a few days from lifting its mask mandate, and the Oklahoma Senate declares religious institutions essential. Thank you for tuning in to OU Nightly. Thanks for joining us for OU Nightly. I'm Shannon Ehrhardt.
And I'm Audrey Goodson. Our weather team is tracking severe weather as it heads into the state.
Let's go to Megan Gold for the latest.
Audrey and Shannon, watches and warnings popping up this evening as those severe weather chances get closer and closer to us here in Norman. You can see this pink region in a thunderstorm watch, this area right here in a flooding watch. But what we're watching right now is this storm down in northwest Texas does have the potential to move up towards us here in Norman. And what we're going to do is show it to you on radar. Actually, a tornado confirmed on the ground right now in this area right here, and actually a very impressive supercell as it moves off to the east. It does have the potential to move up into Oklahoma, and that's what we're going to be watching. Here is the track. You can see Holiday 6:55 p.m. Iowa Park at 7:02. But any storms that move up into this region does have the potential to become tornadic. You want to stick with us because we'll have all the updates coming up in My Full Forecast. Back to you.
Well, thanks, Megan. We'll check back here in a few minutes. The CDC issued new guidance for outdoor mask use for fully vaccinated Americans today. OU Nightly Sofia Olivas is live from the South Oval with how that's going to impact OU.
Thanks, Audrey. Now, here on campus, we will be wearing masks for the foreseeable future. Only 15% of Oklahomans between the ages of 18 and 35 have been vaccinated. And while OU's chief COVID officer says he's ready to relax COVID restrictions, most students fall under this unvaxxed demographic. To make any changes to OU's indoor COVID guidelines, we'd need to see higher vaccination rates first.
I can't imagine that we won't require masks when you're in university facilities, but outdoors, I think, for most events, perhaps we can start to think about loosening those restrictions.
And the university announced today that all OU employees will be expected to return to their fully on-campus schedules by August 2nd. Reporting live, Sofia Olivas, OU Nightly.
Thanks, Sophia. Oklahoma's COVID cases are down from the number we saw at the first of the year, and experts credit vaccines for helping lower them. Today, the state health department reports 115 new cases. Oklahoma has a total of 10,122 active cases of COVID right now, and the CDC says a little more than 8,200 Oklahomans have died from COVID-19. So far, around 914,000 Oklahomans are fully vaccinated against COVID-19.
And when it comes to those who have had the Johnson & Johnson single dose or both shots for Moderna or Pfizer, there are new guidelines from the CDC that open things up. Deyton Deller's going to have that story and the headlines from around the world in News Center. Deyton?
Yes, Audrey. Today, President Biden announced that the CDC says that fully vaccinated Americans no longer need to wear a mask outside unless they're in a large crowd with strangers. This comes after the growing number of people receiving the vaccine and the decline of COVID cases in the U.S. Biden urges people to get vaccinated so people can do things more safely indoors and outdoors. He thanks the American people for the work they've done combating the virus and said July 4th is the goal for when Americans can hold small Independence Day gatherings. And although cases are declining here in the U.S., things are looking very different for India. The country broke global records after reporting over 352,000 new cases on Monday, inching them closer to 200,000 COVID-related deaths. This afternoon, President Biden announced that he intends to share vaccines as well as other aid with India as they continue to battle COVID-19.
The problem is right now we have to make sure we have other vaccines like Novavax and others coming on probably. And I think we'll be in a position to be able to share vaccines as well as know-how with other countries who are in real need.
Biden has not yet said when his administration will begin sharing doses with India, but hopes to very soon. And today, the FBI has opened a federal civil rights investigation after last week's shooting of Andrew Brown Jr. in North Carolina. Brown was a 42-year-old black man who was shot 4 times in the arm by authorities, serving a drug-related search and arrest warrant. He then tried to drive away and he was shot for a 5th time in the head and was killed, causing him to crash into a tree. Officials have given the public little information about the shooting and say they are legally prevented to speak or show body cam footage without a court order. The shooting has prompted protests calling for justice and transparency. And finally, Ed Gonzalez, the Harris County, Texas sheriff that criticized President Trump's immigration policies, is President Biden's choice to head up ICE, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Deyton. Oklahoma ended all statewide mandates for COVID-19, although not everyone has been vaccinated. OU Nightly's Elise Jones reports on how schools in Norman can continue to keep students safe while having gatherings.
Many Oklahomans, including college students, are now able to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. But not all students attending school in person have this luxury. Those in elementary through high school in the state cannot receive the vaccine at this time.
Is just because all the teachers get vaccinated doesn't mean that it's a safe environment. Like, we should be more worried about the students.
Those 16 and older will be able to receive the Pfizer vaccine, but you must be 18 years old to receive the Moderna and Johnson & Johnson vaccines.
I still double mask all day and I try to keep my distance and stuff because I know that not everybody else is in the same position as me, and I want to be respectful of other people just as much as I want them to value my safety.
Norman Public Schools is a subdivision of the state, meaning they don't follow city guidelines but make their own decisions regarding events such as spring break, prom, and graduation.
Norman's Mayor Bria Clark said it's easy for many people to write off prom and graduation, but she remembers how special those moments are.
Those are huge milestones and you can never get them back. So I hope we're able to do those things. People want these things. If they want prom and graduation, then they need to get vaccinated.
Norman Public Schools plans to have an outdoor graduation and socially distanced prom. Phase 4 of vaccinations includes all Oklahoma residents, meaning students may be eligible in the near future. Elise Jones, OU Nightly.
Phase 4 is now open and Governor Stitt hopes to have a more normal summer.
Under newly signed Senate Bill 368, churches and all other religious institutions are now considered essential. Senator David Bullard, who authored the bill, also known as the Oklahoma Religious Freedom Act, says the fact that many churches nation and statewide were essentially and unconstitutionally shut down or threatened must be addressed, and our freedoms must be protected. The new law will stop any governmental entity from declaring religious institutions and related activities as non-essential. This means the closures of these institutions for health or security purposes is also prohibited if those actions are greater than what is imposed on a private entity. The law goes into effect July 1st.
And NASA's Ingenuity helicopter makes history for the 3rd time this week. The copter has shattered expectations and reached new heights, literally.
But it's not just Ingenuity making headlines in space. NASA's in the works of building their most powerful rocket yet. Find out what we have there for the new development when it skyrockets.
NASA's Mars helicopter has set a new out-of-this-world record on its 3rd flight.
Emma Sears has that story and more in today's Science and Technology Report. Emma?
Thanks, guys. NASA's Ingenuity helicopter continues to outdo itself. The helicopter logged a flight that was faster, further, and bolder than the previous ones, exceeding speeds and distances beyond what it proved capable of doing during testing on Earth. A camera aboard NASA's Perseverance Mars rover captured this video of the journey. The helicopter climbed 16 feet and the same altitude from the second height, but this time it increased speed from 1 to about 4.5 miles per hour. And NASA is in the process of building its most powerful rocket ever to take astronauts to the moon. The Space Launch System is under construction at NASA's Vehicle Assembly Building in Florida. Workers are putting together the rocket's twin solid fuel boosters. Each are about 177 feet tall and weigh more than 1 million pounds. Once completed, they will attach to the central rocket. NASA says this project costs more than $11 billion. Work on the rockets will continue through summer and fall. It's expected to begin carrying men and women to the moon in 2023. Tech giants Microsoft and Google are joining in to offer support to India, the global epicenter of the pandemic right now. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella tweeted he is heartbroken by the current situation. He said Microsoft will use its voice, resources, and technology to relieve efforts and support the purchase of critical oxygen devices. Google and Alphabet CEO Sundar Pichai also pledged support, tweeting Google will provide $18 million of funding for medical supplies, organizations supporting high-risk community, and grants to help spread critical information. And Apple is making a massive change to how developers can track your behavior. Users must now give explicit permission for the apps to track your behaviors. Audrey and Shannon, back to you.
Thanks, Emma. And Oklahoma passes a new bill in regards to the Second Amendment. Governor Kevin Stitt signed a proposal that guarantees the right to keep and bear arms.
And Megan, could you tell us of any severe weather we should expect this evening?
Guys, it's time to get out the rain gear and maybe even put that car under the garage. Severe storms headed this way. Stick with us. My full forecast coming up. Welcome back to OU Nightly. We were pretty dry today, but those dark clouds beginning to roll in, and man, is it muggy out there. That dew point sitting at 66 degrees. Temperatures falling into the 70s and not a bit of sun. And what we're watching right now is what's called this dry line. It's actually retreating back to the west, but this is making very favorable conditions for strong to severe storms this evening. And we already have one down in northwestern Texas. This is moving off to the east. You can see the track right here, and it does have a very impressive hook to it, a large destructive tornado on the ground right now. And anything that follows this storm is going to move up into Lawton, Chickasha, Tuttle, and that does have the potential to be severe. Colton Williams is actually up on the 3rd floor looking off to the southwest as the storm begins to approach here in the Oklahoma City metro and Norman areas. Colton, what are you seeing outside right now?
Yeah, Megan, certainly a dangerous situation ongoing in northwestern Texas. You really got to hope that folks are heeding the warning, you know, a large, dangerous, violent tornado heading towards a populated area. Certainly a dangerous situation. Now, we're positioned here. I want to show you. We're looking off to the southwest. I will say it certainly looks darker towards that direction. Now, we had a peak of sunshine over the last 30 minutes or so. As that has gone away now, cloud cover has moved back in. We can't see that far. Though that storm is 50,000 feet tall, we cannot see the thunder tops associated with that supercell. Megan Gold's going to have it all as far as threats, timing, who sees what. Megan Gold, back to you.
Thanks, Colton. And that is important to note with these conditions this evening. This area in Brown has the strongest potential to see those isolated strong tornadoes, but can't rule it out in this green area right here. But like Colton said, very dangerous conditions due to the fact that most of these tornadoes will be rain wrapped. But this is what we're looking at for our future radar. Like I showed you with that storm just moments ago, this is going to begin to move off to the northeast for this evening. Plenty of chances for some strong wind and even some destructive hail, so you're going to want to bring your cars indoors if at all possible. This rain will continue throughout the evening and into the early morning hours. Tomorrow morning also has the chance to be a very strong storm day, but this is what we're looking at for this evening and actually for tomorrow as well. Flooding threat will be there along with wind, hail, and that tornado threat is low, but doesn't mean we don't have the potential to see those strong storms. This is what we're looking at in terms of rainfall totals here over the next couple of days. Definitely have the chance to see some flooding risk, so you're going to want to keep this in mind. Do not drive into high standing water. And again, this is our risk for Wednesday, very similar to what we saw today. Overnight tonight, those lows going to be in the 60s and those highs tomorrow again in the 70s, along with those chances for that rain. And here's a look at that 7-day forecast. Sunshine returns later this week. Ladies, back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Megan. Oklahoma is now a Second Amendment sanctuary state. Governor Kevin Stitt signed the bill announcing the new law on Twitter. Senate Bill 631 protects the right to keep and bear arms guaranteed by the United States Constitution. This includes preventing the confiscation or surrender of firearms, gun accessories, or ammunition from law-abiding Oklahomans. An Oklahoma State representative explains what this means for us.
Basically tries to say that the gun laws that we have right now are as restrictive as they're going to be. And we do that by trying to assure people that the things that we have right now are things that you can own legally today and that you will always be able to own those things legally.
The Second Amendment Sanctuary State Act was signed yesterday.
And OU softball has a doubleheader in Waco today, and they're actually on the diamond as we speak.
Not to be biased, but I hope OU is winning. Arnoldo, can you give us a score update?
I can, but you'll have to wait until after the break. I'll have the scores of that game and updates from around the sports world. Stick around. I'm Arnoldo Prieto, and it's time for sports, so let's dive right in. After sweeping the Red Raiders, the OU softball team headed to Waco today for a doubleheader against the Bears, with their first game starting at 4. The Bears are in the lead 1-0, bottom of the third. OU came into the game at 37-1 on the season and will only play one more Big 12 opponent before the conference tournament begins. Game 2 against the Bears is set to start at 6:30 p.m. tonight. OU track and field reigned victorious at their final home meet of the season. Fallon Ray cleared her own personal best with the height of 1.83 meters in the high jump, tying her for the second on OU's all-time list of career top 10s. But the biggest win of the day came from Isaiah Livingston, who crossed the line breaking 50 in the 400-meter hurdles. His time on Saturday clocked him in for the best time in NCAA, and Livingston's time is also 4th best in the world. Livingston talked about his big day and all the work he's put in leading up to his record-setting run.
I was just sure to follow all of the workout plans to make sure I put like every rep in whenever I worked out. Sure to just like listen to coach and whatever he told me, because he's done a good job in helping me get to where I am today. So honestly, crazy. Like, I was pretty ecstatic when I found out like that at the team meeting, that because at the time I was 3rd and I didn't know. I was like, whoa, like, because initially didn't think that I ran that fast or would have ran that fast, so yeah.
2 rounds and a 36-hole day later, OU powers through to a solo lead at the Big 12 championship yesterday. Redshirt senior Quade Cummins birdied his final hole of the day to lead the Sooners past Oklahoma State by a stroke. Yet the Sooners continued their matchup today and are now in a 3-way tie at the top after 54 with Oklahoma State and Texas. Big news for the NHL announcing a 7-year deal with Turner Sports beginning the 2021 season. TNT will be the program to watch when the playoffs come around, with Turner Sports slated to broadcast half of each round. Turner Sports will also hold the honors of crowning the champion at the Stanley Cup Finals. And with the NFL draft coming our way on Thursday, there are a few OU Sooners to look out for. Creed Humphrey will be a lock for the first round, with the team taking the chance on a quality center. In the later rounds, I see former defensive end Ronnie Perkins sliding into the 4th round and cornerback Trey Brown making his way into the 6th. These former Sooners will be ones to look out for as they make their way into the big leagues. And finally, the OKC Thunder close out their second night of a back-to-back as they face the Boston Celtics in Beantown. The Celtics will be without Kemba Walker and Jason Tatum, but they may not need to worry with OKC on a 14-game losing streak. Thunder will be back, hope to be bounced back tonight at 6. And Shannon, Audrey, I can't say I'm a big of a fan of the Thunder, but let's hope they can get back on track. Back to you guys at the desk.
And Kanye West finds a way other than rapping to get people talking.
Yeah, I heard he's not just dropping music, but something maybe a little bit more fashionable.
Stick with us to find out more.
Nightly Update Desk. The U.S. Navy fired warning shots on 3 Iranian patrol boats after they approached U.S. vessels. U.S. forces first gave verbal warnings over the radio and a loudspeaker, which were ignored. The vessels retreated after shots were fired. That's all for now. Back to the desk.
Just when you thought Kanye just couldn't get any more publicity, he's now the face of the most expensive sneakers in the world. His first ever Yeezy, worn in public, sold at Sotheby's auction house for $1.8 million. Kanye debuted these Yeezy prototypes at the 2008 Grammys.
They were then sold to Rares, which is a platform that allows users to buy and trade in highly sought after sneakers. Apparently, buying these shoes is kind of like buying a piece of history.
Yeah, that's unreal. And I know that Megan Gold has a last look at that tornado warning. Megan, can you tell us what's going on?
Guys, this image being retweeted right now on Twitter and posted by a National Weather Service meteorologist from that tornado warning in Benjamin, Texas. And let's give you another look at that radar. But first, this is what we're looking at in terms of the track. This storm headed towards Wichita Falls, but if it were to take a track a little bit further to the northeast, these cities along I-35 need to be ready to hunker down if at all possible, because this storm does continue to be tornado warned. And again, we have these storms continue to lift off to the northeast with those storms following a little bit behind it. Ladies, back to you at the desk.
Thanks for watching OU Nightly, the last Tuesday newscast of the spring semester.
But don't worry, both of us will be back here next year to give you the latest on the news, weather, and sports. Have a wonderful night.
Good night.